City are unchanged for the 7th consecutive match, a contributing factor to their recent success. There are one or two connections with the Liverpool team. Ken Demange began his career in England there. Richard Jobson was at Watford with John Barnes, and Billy Askew has played with Peter Beardsley at Newcastle and with John Aldridge and Ray Houghton at Oxford. Keith Edwards goes into this round as the leading scorer in the FA Cup with 18 goals. He should have had to give best to Ian Rush, whose total is 22, but because of a knee injury, the Welsh international is not included in Kenny Dalglish's lineup. But Gary Gillespie is. He comes back after missing 23 games after a knee operation. The referee comes from Kendal in Cumbria. And curiously, it's exactly 84 years to the day since these two teams first met. A match which Liverpool, who now attack the goal to our right, won by 6 goals to 2. And Hull City have never managed a victory against Liverpool. Here's Gary Gillespie, good to see him back. There's some speculation that Alex Watson would be included in Kenny Dalglish's lineup, but in fact Kenny has put him on the bench alongside Steve Staunton. It's Billy Askew. Nice ground which once held 55,000 people, but these days restricted to 20,000. Askew and Houghton. Acrobatics from Gareth Roberts. Ian Hesford, the man in goal for Hull, and taken over from Tony Norman in December. Norman went to Sunderland, and Billy Whitehurst came with the goalkeeper to start a new career at Hull. Demange. McMahon. 2 ahead, but nobody wide. Now John Barnes comes forward. Well played by Gillespie. That was very difficult. Bounce could have embarrassed him hugely, but it didn't. Beardsley. John Aldridge is up ahead. Houghton coming square. Barnes had the other way, but it was in the end comfortable for Neil Buckley. Whitehurst. Liverpool player down at the other end. And here's Edwards. And it was Ray Houghton who came back. And they're not too happy on the Liverpool bench that play was allowed to continue. Gillespie who's down, and there was a hole in the centre of the defence. Shin bone is the problem, it would seem. You see the player there prostrate, and Edwards able to get through, and good play by Ray Houghton. And it's not the problem that kept him out, Gillespie. With the back of the calf. Or is it the shin bone? Certainly low down. Nothing a manager can do about situations like this except to make the decision as to whether the player stays or goes, and he would accept the view of the physiotherapist. Watson will have to wait. Gillespie is to continue, although rather hobbling his way into the edge of the 6-yard area. Askew takes the corner. Grobbelaar goes for it, doesn't make it, and it was Buckley who came up and didn't get enough of it. A very good corner over Grobbelaar. Buckley is number 6. He just couldn't get it on target. Won by Mulby, who has gone into the back four because Gillespie looks as though he can't continue. This is Beardsley. Houghton, 4 on the attack, now McMahon just on the edge of the area. Nicol on the overlap. And Gillespie cannot continue. He's played barely 11 minutes before he's replaced now by Alec Watson. Barnes. McMahon. A lot of space for Beardsley. 4 in the area for Liverpool. One of them is Barnes, who scores with great ease. So much space there. And the disappointed goalkeeper looks on as the scorer is congratulated. There was so much room for Beardsley, was able to turn, pick his man, and the marking on Barnes was non-existent, as indeed it was on Aldridge, number 8, who celebrates as the ball goes in. John Barnes, it's his 6th goal of the season, and a really very, very comfortable header. Not too much support for Ian Hesford here, and he was well beaten. Hull strike force up front and not seeing too much of the ball at this juncture. Brown's tackle. Coming to the club from school. Beardsley. Houghton. Aldridge. Jobson didn't look! And he's very lucky to get away with it. Ray Houghton shot into the side netting. Really an awful back pass, and they've had a few problems at the back. Just didn't look, the Hull skipper. Goalkeeper was quickly to Ray Houghton, and Hull escape. Demange. Jobson. Whitehurst. Roberts. And that worked well. Whitehurst. Well, apart from one corner, that was the first threat that Hull have posed, and certainly the best passing movement. Roberts' cross. Whitehurst's header. Free kick quickly taken from a few yards forward. Beardsley. They've got a man over. Good clearance off the line by Jacobs. Askew. That last move by Hull has lifted the crowd again. Demange wants it forwards. Askew dwelling on the ball has allowed all bar 2 to come back for Liverpool. Roberts. Untimely slip, Whitehurst! It's in! Slip by Gary Ablett. And Whitehurst scores. And there aren't many still sitting at Bursley Park. Contrast in the reactions of Whitehurst and Ablett. Ironic that it should be the man who has spent some time here on loan. Roberts' cross didn't look to be too much on until that slip, and it left Whitehurst to finish the move. It dribbled a bit, but it made it. 34 minutes gone, 1-1 the score. Poor lad, as was once famously said by Eddie Waring. Whitehurst was already on the run, but the ball would have been cut out. Grobbelaar caught coming slightly late because of the slip. Whitehurst the scorer. And Dalglish now with something to think about. Free kick against Aldridge. Askew hurt, but not making anything of it, which is good to see. Looking for the head of Whitehurst, and he found it. Edwards! Yes! They can't believe it. Almost the first time that Edwards has been in the match. He maintains his scoring sequence every match this season. And Hull, having been outclassed for the best part of half an hour, will go in at half-time with the lead. Askew's free kick, Whitehurst a good header, debate between two at the back, and Edwards made them pay. Beautifully done by Askew, well met in front of the marker. Hesitation by Mulby, not by Edwards. Burrows. Roberts hurting himself at the ball, and an offside decision. But it's not needed because it's half-time. And if you suddenly arrived at Boothry Park, you would know which team is leading by the reaction the players are getting. But who would have thought that after John Barnes scored the opening goal, and there were two other opportunities in which Liverpool came so close. But the front two for Hull have had one chance apiece, and each took that chance for Hull City to lead by 2-1. Well, as well as the 20,000 here at Boothry Park, there are thousands watching the match on large screens over at Prenton Park in Tranmere. All Liverpool supporters, of course, and this for them would be the best point of the opening 45 minutes. And this is how they saw it. So what does the second half hold now, after a really curious opening 45 minutes? I wonder which finds it more difficult to believe, Eddie Gray or Kenny Dalglish. Liverpool now attacking the goal to our left, and attack needs to be the operative word. Aldridge. Nickel on the right side. Beardsley. Two waiting around the penalty spot. Barnes is over. Doesn't need the touch of Barnes. Aldridge has levelled the scores. Aldridge keeps up his scoring sequence. And it's back to 2-2. Good cross. And Aldridge got between the two defenders, and Barnes, who was unmarked, wasn't needed. 53 minutes. John Aldridge's 15th goal of the season. It's 2-2. And here's Beardsley. Play. Houghton gets the ball across. An attempted dummy, just didn't quite work. Pressure still on. Aldridge from McMahon. 3-2. 2 goals in under a minute from John Aldridge. And you don't need telling what it means to him, to the Liverpool supporters here and those back on Merseyside. They've righted the wrongs of the first half very quickly indeed. McMahon saw it so quickly, a powerful header and a good finish. Houghton has got away. 2 against 2. Cut out by Buckley. Roberts turned his back on it. Nicol. McMahon. Well struck by Beardsley, but just wide. All sorts of possibilities there. Stumble by McMahon. And Beardsley didn't take any time to swing, but was wide. Edwards. Nicely spread out. Askew. Jacobs. It's good play this by Hull. Askew. Useful cross, Edwards! Payton! Corner. Best we've seen from Hull City in this half. Edwards didn't really get there, was away from Whitehurst. Payton's shot was blocked by the challenge of Burrows at the expense of the corner. But signs that Hull are coming back again after being knocked to their knees at the start of the half. Barnes. Oh, could be a break here. Change of mind by Jacobs and McMahon. How spectacular that would have been. A good challenge by Hull City, but the right side gained the victory. John Aldridge, 2 goals within a minute in the 53rd, end the hopes of Eddie Gray's team. And logic comes in the end to what was a very funny game early on. Liverpool's name will be in the hat for the draw for round 6.